Detective Comics 1017, Tom Taylor writing with Fernando Blanco on the art. And I really hope this is a test. I really hope this is them seeding the idea that maybe he'll take over from Tomasi when Tomasi's done.
So the Alfred story in this, Tom Taylor, just those two stories, Tom Taylor's making a push at becoming my favorite Batman writer ever.
After 2 issues.
After 2 issues. Just because he writes a Batman that I like. There's a moment in here where Batman has a sly, smart-ass smile. I've never seen that before. Like, yes, in that way.
And notably, that sly smile is when he's admitting to because the kid says, you know, not to offend you, Ethan, but my favorite superhero has always been Superman. And Batman smirks and says, "Yeah, don't tell anyone, but he's mine too."
Mine too, right? And like, however you choose to read that line, it has nothing. That kid could have said Wonder Woman, could have said Flash, Green Lantern, whatever, and it still would have affected me the same because I was not expecting a smirk out of Batman. Like, and just the fact that I feel like Taylor, what is it, subverts expectations. I guess that's the right phrase of Batman that I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed this issue. If you guys can't tell.
Yeah, the premise of this issue. You know, after a little flashback showing how Martha had to convince Bruce to come to an orphanage when when Martha and Thomas were still alive,
right.
the Martha orphanage, because it's like, no, we have to give to those less fortunate, blah blah blah, you know, the usual sentiment. And it basically sets up the idea that the orphanage is important to the Wayne family, and the main plot of the issue is that there's a runaway from the Wayne orphanage, and Lucius brings this to Bruce's attention. Bruce looks into it, but it's suspicious because there's been multiple runaways, and Bruce has to find the kid and also see what's going on. Why is there multiple runaways? Right. What's going on here that's shady?
At the same time, you have a group of Black Mask's guys, you know, trying to blow up Gotham. So Batman's doing this on 2 fronts. So he brings in Damian, which I feel has gotten lost in King's Run. Like, we don't see too much of Batman interacting with Damian. And Taylor even brings that up here, where he's like, Damian gets upset. He's like, oh, so you'll go and hang out with these orphan kids when he's like, Damian, I know where this is going, and let's not do it right now. So I like that.
Yeah, and Lucius is like, you don't have to sneak in the middle of the night as Batman. You know, your name's on the building. You can just show up in a suit, and they'll let you in.
And they'll let you do whatever you want because it's yours.
Right. I also feel like this is the first taste we're getting of Lucius as Alfred, and I can't say I hate
absolutely.
it.
Yeah.
So, and I also feel like if people aren't in the know and just pick up this issue, right, they don't follow it as much as we do. It still fits that Lucius is there because it's dealing with the Wayne Foundation stuff. Yeah. Like it fits them both.
And we get a sense of time passing as they're looking for the kid. Both Batman and Damian are like, you know, it goes through over a full week, and eventually, you know, it keeps going. The temperature's
colder each time, and I have no idea what that is in real temperature.
Well, 33, 34, 0 to put that in perspective, Connor.
Right, so
32.
So cold as balls.
Cold as balls. When it gets to 10 degrees, I'm sure that's like minus 10 or 15 or something like that.
It is.
It was
minus 12.
Minus 12. Oh, I said 10 or 15. I think that was a good guess.
I mean, we've both been in minus 12 enough. It's cold as balls.
Anyways, this issue also, so the runaway kid's also an immigrant. His parents have passed away.
Yeah, so
trying to immigrate.
It also gets into a little bit of brace yourself, folks. A little bit of politics. There's a little bit of politics in here.
But I also feel like Taylor handles that magnificently because it never feels like preachy. But Batman's like, no, we're gonna help this kid no matter what.
And that's the key thing about the temperature counting down is that ultimately the kid's out in the streets. It's getting colder and colder, and when they find him, he is freezing to death. They're rushing him to the hospital. They're trying, and this is when we get the conversation where Batman smirks and he's trying to keep him going, but he dies at hospital anyway. When they get to the hospital, it's too late, and the kid dies, and it's a really sad moment. This is a kid who's had a couple of pages, and Tom Taylor makes me upset that he's passed away.
You know, every time Tom Taylor does a Batman issue, he makes me feel things. I don't like it.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why he's jumping into my favorite Batman writer, just because he's finding room to tell these emotional stories and a character that I feel so many writers take like this clinical, scientific, cold,
And
take on Bruce's character, and this injects much needed warmth and care.
And if this is the only Tom Taylor I'd ever read, there would be maybe a concern that he's good at these one-off stories, but would he be good at a serialized long-form story? But the thing is I've read tons of him doing. I've read X20. It wasn't X23. It was all New Wolverine to be exact.
Right.
It was X-Men Red.
Wolverine.
Friendly Foes of Spider. Not Friendly Foes.
Friendly
Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which just ended this week. So screw you, Marvel. Yeah.
Right.
So I've read enough of him doing longer stories that I know he can do that too. This is super. And obviously he goes back to the guy running the orphanage, and it turns out he's been giving up kids and making sure the records aren't there for these kids.
Well, it's not just that, is that the records are so meticulous, but it doesn't matter. Like, these kids just vanished. And so that's where Bruce goes in there, not Batman. Bruce Wayne goes in to talk to the guy
and punches him. Yeah, he punches him in the face.
And Damien's like, you know, you're not in your cowl, right?
But basically, what finds him out is that there's photos of the groups of the kids, and there's just kids that don't have records. Because like you're saying, the records are so meticulous. But if you actually look at the photos, there's kids that are just not accounted for.
And I think what I like is we don't see this, but obviously, Bruce doing his detective work. Has cared enough to check these photos and realize that these are missing files, as opposed to just, well, here's probably a few hundred files at least, right?
Well, and it also goes back to his mother's telling him that these kids also need care and love, and I know it makes you feel sad, right? But that just means your heart's in the right place. Is that you can feel this, and that ties back to the end where these kids are already at their lowest, and you have this guy exploiting them, and it pisses Bruce off, so much that he punches the dude out, like he's Batman, right? Like no one's there. So
it's one of those where, it's one punch. It's believable that, any guy can throw a punch like that because this guy's nothing special. No, but yeah, he's kind of channeling it all into it.
It plays well, and then at the end, he sort of joked that he'd build a new wing earlier on the orphanage because he's going to give them all this new science teaching equipment.
That's another part that I love. That he goes, I'm bringing this science, equipment, and we're going to do all this fun stuff. And he goes, oh man, you managed to camouflage it with ice cream.
Yeah,
because he also brought an ice cream.
And the guy's
shop.
like, I don't know if we're gonna have space for all this. He's like, don't worry about it. We'll just build a new wing.
But he's named a new wing after the kid that died, though. It says he saved lives, or he saves lives.
That made me a little bit dusty.
Because that was the thing. He ran away because he knew something was going on. He knew
something wrong.
He didn't want to be next.
Yeah, and by doing so, he brought this to their attention. So he did literally save lives.
Yeah,
because now this stops.
Exactly.
I
love how Damien looks so proud at the end.
Yeah,
he does.
Super touching story, super touching Batman story. And Blanco's art is pretty solid, especially stuff in the snow. I really liked the.
Oh, it's gorgeous, isn't it? I think he does that mood atmosphere so well.
Yeah, I think that's where it really excelled. Is that countdown over the days as the snow's coming down.
Yeah, it never sacrifices a facial expression either, which is so important in a story like this.
No, it's beautiful stuff. So Matt, what are you giving Detective Comics 1017?
This is getting a 9. I really enjoyed this issue.
Connor?
I'm going to go with a 9.5.
Oh, I'm going to go with a 9 myself. So, surprise, surprise, Tom Taylor wrote a comic and it got high marks.
And now it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy at this point. But at the same time, he's just a really good writer.
I'd like to think we're fair though, because there are creators we love that we have given some shit scores to in the past.
But also we weren't like hot on every single issue of Deceased. Like we more or less enjoyed them, but it wasn't like
they weren't all 9s. They weren't all like knocks out of the park.
Yeah, I think the lowest were probably like high 7s, maybe 8s.
Yeah.
So, but no, he's I say he's the patron saint of Comics From The Multiverse at this point. Tom Taylor.
And I still sometimes think about that Supergirl story he did in that Christmas anthology a couple of years ago.
I tracked it down.
It's so good. It's like 10 pages, if that.
Yeah. It's so good. I love it.